Land reform involves the changing of laws, regulations, or customs regarding land or land ownership. Now, the land reform may consist of government-initiated or government-backed property redistribution, generally of agriculture land. These processes can, be radical, and in most cases will not augur well with many. Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning, that is Waziri Farida Karonei, is with us this morning to articulate on the progress of this particular sector since that time that she took up her ministerial position. And of course, we have so much to ponder on. We do not forget to discuss the key that is being talked about right now, the Ardhi Siasa, which is the latest, development that plays out in this particular ministry that will go a long way in terms of transforming the same. When we speak matters land, we understand how emotive it can get. It's not just in the country, but across Africa, across the global fraternity. If you look at the history of land in South Africa, the history of land in the likes of Zimbabwe is one thing that would get you understanding how important it is to have structures and policies that well guide this particular sector for peaceful coexistence. And therefore, that is what we'll be having as a conversation this morning. Waziri, thank you so much for creating time for us.
Thank you, Linda.
Everyone who interviews you or has had the chance to interview you, they speak of a scenario where they have worked with you or under you, and the tough boss that you are, but tough in a good way. I have not had the privilege to work with you, but I can tell you for free that there's a moment I wished for the same, because all over we could hear about Mama. You speak about,
yes,
you move around the media industry and you are told, what, under Mama, and then it gets you thinking, well, it could be a tough ground to work, but then again, it is one that will guarantee you of stardom. And therefore, at some point, we hoped for the same until you disappeared. I hope you come back, so at least we get the chance
I might come back, who knows?
You better come back. Asante Sana for creating time for us this morning.
My pleasure.
And yes, it appears that the shining goes on even into the next space that you have walked into, and therefore we talk matters lands this morning and the reforms that have taken a center stage as at now. But my biggest question, even before we kickstart the conversation, is: are there any moments where there is that fear of dealing with the cartels? Because when we talk lands, and in our previous conversation, we've had gentlemen who've spoken hugely of how it is a cartel-driven country. And therefore, when we talk land, then we also know that they're full, or this space is full of cartels. Are there moments that you've had to have that fear of dealing with the same, especially with the reforms that we've had currently or recently?
Not really, Linda. You see, the thing with this group of individuals you people like calling cartels, these are people who thrive because there's no order. I don't think if we create order, they would be able to thrive. And that is the basis under which we are undertaking the current land reforms as directed by the president. So cartels are really people who exploit weak systems. I don't think they are there because they must be there. They're there because our systems are weak. And that is why we are working very hard to make sure that our systems are robust, our systems are strong, and that the management of land is done for the benefit of ordinary Kenyans and not people who have money, people who have influence, because it is the ordinary Kenyans who really need sustainable use of land. So really, I don't even think about these third-party individuals.
Right.
Because my primary responsibility is to the people of Kenya and the people whose lands we manage. And most of these people that you speak about, Linda, don't actually own land. Many of them are brokers. They are middlemen. They work between the landowners and the government. And that is because, as I said, our systems are weak. But if we create strong systems, they will disappear.
All right.
Yeah, they thrive there because the systems are not very strong.
Okay. And we'll delve deep later on the land spaces that we have, so many that are lying idle today. And one individual asked me, kindly ask Waziri, why is it that this land is lying idle? Who are the owners, and why is it that it cannot be disseminated to individuals who are squatters, who are out here and are not able to earn a living simply because they do not have such of these spaces? It is considered a resource, and therefore one that should be utilized if we are to realize economic gains. But that aside, so much reforms that is in regards to land laws today. We speak of digitization, easy transaction reforms, and enhancement of national titling. What would you make of these progresses so far at the inception stages? Have we done well?
I would say we are doing well. Remember, Linda, these gaps or weaknesses or weak systems we have created over the last almost 58 years. So we just had Madaraka, they had the 58 years of our independence. You cannot correct wrongs created in almost 60 years in a short 5 years. It's not possible.
Right.
What we have started is the baby steps. We are laying the foundation. And we are saying, once we have the foundation, successive governments can continue to build the house, because all we are doing is laying the foundation for a strong system of land management. And I can say so far we are doing well. We have 4 priority areas. As you know, President Kenyatta is very passionate about national titling. Our country has about 12 million titles. 6 million of those were created or registered in the first 50 years of independence. President Kenyatta himself has registered slightly over 5 million. So you can see 3 presidents registered 6 million titles.
Yes.
President Kenyatta has registered 5.1. So you can see that his
huge,
aggressive program of national titling is working. And this is important because if you don't have security of tenure, you really can't use your land sustainably, because you're not sure whether you'll own it the next day. But the moment you have your title deed, apart from just the security itself of tenure, you can use it as collateral in a bank to take money, to take out loans, to develop yourself. So titling becomes a very, very critical program, and that is our one of the President's priority programs. The second one, or the natural second program, is digitalization, because there's no use to create so many titles if you cannot guarantee their security, because either records will be lost or they will be stolen, or somebody will come and change your record. So that is why the president told us at the beginning of this his second term that one of the things he would like to leave behind is a legacy of sustainable and sound land management. And you remember during his campaigns in 2013 when he first took office, before he took office, he was telling us that he will provide the answer to the land question. As you know, in our country, land is very, very emotive. So when he came in, he had to choose the areas that will ensure that land is managed sustainable. So national titling was one of them. And secondly, then digitalization became critical. And this has become much more obvious with COVID, because with COVID, it's difficult to serve so many people in the same space. So if you're digital, then you don't have to come to the Ministry of Lands. You sit in your house, sit in your office, and transact. So digitalization became important for 2 reasons. First, we were tired of the mess in our sector, and we needed to draw the line and said, we've created enough mess, let us step back, let us restore order. So digitalization became critical. Then the other third program, which is natural to the first 2, is policy, legal, and institutional reform. Because some of those things have to be anchored in law. You cannot create a digital platform if the correct legal framework is not there. So legal, policy, and institutional reform became our third priority. And institutional mostly because we wanted to reform the institution of the Ministry of Lands. I'm sure you know, Linda, if you're a Kenyan, every Kenyan, either through themselves or by proxy, has had a very horrific experience with our ministry because of the things we used to do. And we said we want to reform our ministry. We want our ministry to be a modern workplace, a modern place where when Kenyans come, they feel they're at home, being served by their government. And the fourth, of course, is decentralization. We wanted the services of our ministry to be very, very close to the people of Kenya. So those are the 4 priority programs the president told us to focus on, because there's a lot you can change in the Ministry of Lands.
Allow me to interject. You can't change
everything all at once.
That I agree. And when you look at all this that we speak about, then sometimes as an individual who's been put there to be the eyes of the president, then you can pick on those that would appear as key, you know, based on how you view them. While we acknowledge that it is, of course, you who's supposed to work on behalf of what it is that the president requires for you to do. What got you buying into this idea and believing that this is one thing that would be key transformation and important for that matter, as opposed to all these other things that are supposed to be dealt with within the sector?
So Linda, you know, as a minister, you don't really have your own priority programs.
That's true.
As I said, the president said he wanted to provide the answer to the land question. So my responsibility as his minister was really to help him achieve that. And he already set out his priorities. He knew that titling was critical. In fact, when I came, it was started in 2013. So it's a program I'm just carrying forward. The program that we've started in this second term is digitalization. And that is because the president said, we have made sufficient gain in terms of national titling. We need to secure those gains. The best way to do is to make sure you have control of your records. Because as you know, Linda, the national government is guarantor of title. How can you guarantee something if tomorrow it will be lost and you don't know who stole it? If the file is working, I mean, the Ministry of Lands is one of those places where files used to work. You come and I tell you, Linda, I don't know where your file is. What does that really mean when I'm the custodian of that record? So the president said, we must really put this record in a secure platform, in a platform where as government we have control and we are able to trace any transactions happening in the land sector. So for me, Linda, it was a very straightforward assignment. because the president already had his priorities. I took about 6 months to 1 year trying to understand the sector. As you understand, I came from communications.
Right.
Yeah, I am managing land, managing experts in land. So it took me a very long time just reading the laws in the sector, understanding, talking to the staff, talking to stakeholders. And we've had a lot of meetings with our stakeholders in order to understand what are their needs. Because whilst the president had given you the priorities, he's not going to implement it for you. He's going to tell you, I want titles, I want to digitize, I want reform. It's your business to figure out how you're going to do it. You are working in the principles of time, and a tremendous performer will definitely be gauged on what they do extra. Anything extra going on as opposed to what it is that the president set for you to work on. Anything extra that is now an initiative of coming from the CS herself, the CS of Ministry of Lands. As I told you, Linda, my priority program number 1
is what
is to implement the priorities of the president.
Okay.
Secondly, Linda, there are many good strategies in our country, in businesses, in corporations, but they fail for lack of implementation. So what I think I can say I bring to the table is the capacity to implement.
Yeah.
Because I want to see things through. I mean, I've been given a task. I don't want to exit next year before I implement what it is the president told me to implement. So whilst I don't have my own program, my responsibility is to ensure that the president's priority programs are fully implemented, and we reach a space where we are saying by the time the president exits, or we exit with him in 2022, we are leaving our country with a sustainable system of land management, and whoever comes in after me can just carry forward. The other thing we are doing in this administration is really documenting the steps that we are taking so that future governments do not have to struggle with what we have struggled with, because it was a struggle trying to figure out what happened, how did we do it. Are there manuals, are there policy programs that we can build on? So what we are trying to do is, while we are implementing these programs, we are documenting what we are doing so that future governments can find it easy to carry forward the programs of government. Because as you know, Linda, government is perpetual. The government of Kenya will always exist.
Yes.
The people will change, but the government of Kenya will always exist.
Definitely. 3 minutes item of news would probably not be good enough to speak to the common mwananchi there so that they would understand what Ardhi Sasa is all about. And therefore, I'd love for you to briefly take us through this program.
So Ardhi Sasa is really a digital platform of deployment of our services. In the same way you now run I didn't see you reading your intro from your paper, you're reading AutoCue. So this digital technology. And as you know, the digital technologies is what is running the world today. You can't be left behind. So as government, in 2004, government came up with an e-government policy, basically saying the services of government ought to be accessible to Kenyans wherever they are. So this Ministry of Lands is just implementing that policy, which was created way back in 2004. Then in 2019, we had the digital economy blueprint, because we are saying the economies are now transacting digitally. As a government, we cannot be left behind. So Ardhi Sasa is a deployment platform for the services of the Ministry of Lands. What you do, it's www.ardhisasa.lands.go.ke. You log on to there. I mean, it's a live platform. You can log on as we speak. Then when you go there, the first thing you do, Linda, is to register, because we are allowing only registered users to participate in the transactions on that platform. So you register on the platform, and then you're ready to transact. So this Ardhi Sasa is a national land information management system. Basically, we've integrated and put together all land information onto one platform to make it easy for Kenyans to access. So these are all the services of the Ministry of Lands will be available on this platform. We are also now working with the National Land Commission, because Ministry of Lands and National Land Commission are interrelated services of government. So we are putting their services on board as well, so that as a land user or a land owner or anybody interested in transactions in land can find everything all on the same platform. Now it has two components, the platform itself and the data component. So the platform, as I keep saying, is a wonderful platform. But because of the gaps we've had in land management over the last 50 to 60 years, there's a lot of gaps in our data. By data, really, I mean land records. For instance, we have about now 28,000 landowners whose records are not complete. They are not on the platform because they are incomplete. Because as I've kept saying, we are looking for three things in this data. We are looking for completeness, we are looking for accuracy, and we are looking for integrity. If your data set lacks any of those three components, it will not be on this platform. And we have about 28,000 landowners whose data is not here because they are not complete. Either your title document is missing, some document is missing. And we are saying we are going to work with the landowners in order to complete these records. There's another category of landowners whose data is not on the platform. And these are owners of apartments, sectional properties. Because prior to 2020, when the president signed into law the Sectional Properties Act, who are registering sectional units using a law called the Registration of Documents Act, basically long-term leases. But we are saying we have built this platform to comply with the law. So if your parcel is not in compliance with the law, it will not be on the platform. But we are saying, don't worry, there are about 90,000 units, sectional units, which are not on this platform.
Right.
But if as a landowner or a property owner you want to transact, you come to us and we will help you bring it on board the platform, because what it's lacking is geospatial data.
Okay.
Our platform has been built to recognize only geospatial data. Geospatial data is data in relation to space. And that's because of our history. Previously, people would own title deed and they don't have land. So we are saying for you to own land or property, it must be anchored on the ground. On the ground. So if you don't have ground, then you don't have title.
Yeah.
So we are saying this sectional units have to be brought on board by creating geospatial data, and we are going to help you as government. At the cost of government, we will work with you and create that data. So that's the third set that will not be on the platform. There's another set of data that will not be there. If you have a title to public land, it will not be there.
Yeah.
Because of history, there are Kenyans who have title deeds to public assets. Those will not be on the platform, and we have a separate process to interrogate whether you acquired it legally or illegally. And then the next course of action will ensue.
And even before we delve deep into, the legal and legal aspect of things, and just how then this will come in handy to address these discrepancies, we all acknowledge the fact that developers are not the users. So how much a sensitization or education has been done to make sure that the public is able to interact with this system?
Engagement or training with the system, Linda, is an ongoing process. As you know, this is a new technology. A lot of Kenya, for instance, we've registered so far 22,000 users. I mean, I just told you there are 12 million titles.
Yes.
But we've registered only 22 million. Right. I mean, 22,000. In Nairobi, there are about 240,000 parcels of land.
Yes.
But we've registered 22,000 users. That is because a lot of Kenyans are still trying to understand the platform, trying to see how to come on board. And many of them can come on board and they're wondering, why isn't my parcel on the platform? And it's for the reasons that I have explained.
Yeah.
So in the month of February, before we launched, the president launched this system on the 27th of April. It's about a month now. But the whole of month of February and part of March, we were doing stakeholder engagement. I even went around media houses. Unfortunately, I didn't come here. Trying to explain to journalists, to reporters, to landowners, to lawyers, surveyors, everybody that was interested what we are doing and why we are doing it. But that was just to tell them, this platform is about to come on board. This is what it will do. What we are doing now is actual user training. We've engaged lawyers, surveyors, all the professionals in the sector, landowners. We keep doing webinars to tell them, this is how you operate when you come to the system, you register yourself, you upload your photo, in the same way you transact in any other government system. Let's say you want to buy a car. These days you don't go to NTSA to physically check who is the owner of this car. You can log on and see the car you want to buy, who owns it. Right. So that is really the same principle.
And so much activity is happening on eCitizen, and want to believe even the transactions of land, are happening there. A shift of the same?
We are actually no longer on eCitizen.
Yes.
Because when we created RTSASA, we created a national payment gateway called Taifa Pay.
Right.
It is a payment gateway owned by government. The reason why we decided to do an all-government approach, by the way, this platform was built by young Kenyans 100%.
Okay.
It's copyrighted with the government of Kenya. It's owned fully by the government. So we wanted a system that would cost our users zero. So to transact on our platform, the only thing you pay is the government taxes. Otherwise, you pay nothing to transact on this platform. Okay. So we took our services off eCitizen to a payment gateway called Taifa Pay. It's a national payment gateway, which means the landowner pays nothing in order to access these services. But it works in the same way that eCitizen used to work. We are linked to KRA. We are linked to business registration services. We are linked to the population services database, that is the data on dates and births, because it is important to know who is transacting. The reason why we are linked to IPRS, for instance, if you log on as Linda, you will key in your ID number, the serial number of your ID number. Once you do that, automatically we pull all your data sets from other agencies of government to compare and really confirm that that is Linda transacting. So we have all these linkages with government, and therefore too many add-ons are not necessary, because already we are linked with the primary databases of government. So when you come on board, you can do anything that government requires you to do on that platform without having to go to a third party for help. Yeah.
Now that you speak of the links with other sectors and all that, I'd love to know just how many other sectors have been incorporated towards making this a success in terms of maybe other ministries that you have worked in tandem with for this to be. I mean, we all understand the importance of data protection, security issues that would crop up in regards to the same. So, any other sectors linked?
Yes, actually, the way this platform was built, Linda, it wasn't built by the Ministry of Lands. The President directed in February of 2018 that we set up a multi-agency team. We had Ministry of Lands staff, we had the Ministry of ICT, we had Ministry of Interior, we had cybersecurity experts, we had everybody who needed to be there in order to create a secure platform. And we took deliberate steps to make sure that the fraudsters that operate on the manual space do not migrate online and continue to transact. So it was necessary for us to create a framework that allows different government agencies to participate, and therefore built a platform that was secure and easily accessible to the Kenyan citizen with minimal cost. All
right, so we'll come back and understand the timelines, what has been projected and what we have achieved so far. I remember the first time we were talking about this, I mean, we talked of other developments that would play out in May and coming to June, and we'd love to understand whether indeed this progress has been made. Waziri, allow me to take a quick short break and then we'll come back on that very note.
You see the woman you keep on admiring? They might be going through the same pain that you're going through right now, the same grief that you're going through now, or even the same disease that you are suffering with right now.
Why can't I see clearly?
But the only difference between you and them is that, yes, they cried, but they managed to learn through the pain and they came out as conquerors.
I stayed for like 2 years without having a job. I cannot even do a simple thing like taking a shower.
So Joy, you can imagine every day you're waking up, going to work, and knowing for sure, you have a dead baby.
Join me each and every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on 19 with Joy Irungu here on TV 47.
At Global Precast Panels, we have the best quality, durable and affordable precast panels to suit all your needs. Manufactured under a controlled environment, we have the best precast concrete panels, precast concrete floor slabs, precast concrete perimeter wall, precast concrete columns and beams. Our panels reduce construction cost by up to 40% with absolutely no plaster required, including added soundproof benefits, convenient four-story buildings, schools, offices, residential houses, hospitals, and warehouses. Take advantage of our free transport. Contact us on 0702 24 7267 or 0796 24 7267. Global Precast Panels Limited, your reliable option for efficient construction.
These are the sights and sounds of a working nation. There are no shortages to remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them.
You need to stay relevant. If you don't, you're going to fade off.
Yes, they are a dime in a dozen, but the real meat on these bones comes from trying to realize them.
You just need to perfect anything. If it's drawing, if it's music, pursue it 100% because it's something that is giving back.
Join me, Violet Njoki, as I tell you the stories of these executed ideas.
Welcome back to the broadcast. We're having a one-on-one with Waziri Frida Karone. She is the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning, as we expound some more on the land reform processes that are going on in this particular sector, which is crucial in terms of streamlining this sector that has been bedeviled for quite a long time. And I know, as many would say, they hear about the lands and fear creeps into them, and therefore sometimes even getting that docket, you don't celebrate, you suddenly get to a mode of worry, which is totally different. She makes it look like it's quite easy, while technically going by what it is that President Uhuru Kenyatta expected of the ministry, and therefore they have done well so far. The coming in of Aarti Sasa, which is what we have on screen right now, and therefore I'll give her the honor of taking us through what Kenyans should expect the moment they march into this web.
Yeah. So when you log on, Linda, that's the page that you will see. As you can see, there's a log-on page. That is for customers who've already registered on the platform, and as I said, they are now about 22,000.
Yes.
Then if you are new to the platform, that's a landing page. You register. The first port of call is to register. You log on the serial number of your ID, and then it will guide you the next steps until you're fully registered.
Okay.
Because this platform will not allow you to transact anything before you're registered. So for ordinary Kenyans, you just register as Linda, as a person. But for professionals, we have professional accounts for advocates, for surveyors, for valuers, for all the professionals that transact in land in the sector.
Yeah.
So once you're registered, you're on. As I said, the challenge, this platform itself, it's an excellent deployment platform. But the challenge we continue to have is cleaning up our data.
Yeah.
As I said, Nairobi has 240,000 parcels of land. Only about 30% of that is on the platform.
Okay.
The rest has different issues. As I told you, 28,000 don't have complete ownership documents. We intend very shortly to gazette those so that the owners can bring their documents and we complete their files so that we can upload. Sectional units, as I said, we are running something called on-demand service, which means if you come as a customer, you want to transact, your parcel is not on the platform, no need to worry. That icon on the bottom right is our customer service platform. So if you log on and then your parcel says parcel not here, you log on there and talk to a customer care agent.
Outright.
Yes, it's live. Even now you can try. You can log on. It's live.
This one.
Yes, that icon there. You can chat up someone. So
So it's more of a chat, or
it's a chat. It's a chat.
It's a chat. So also you say something here, and then they'll respond to you.
Somebody will respond.
Okay. All right.
And we didn't want to. We thought because of the problems of land, managing too many calls was going to be a challenge. So we created a chat platform. In any case, this is a modern platform. Anyway. We chat all the time. We're on social media. So it's something we're already used to. Yeah, so you log on there, you say, I can't find my title, or I have this problem, and then a customer care agent can call you up or help you through the transaction on the platform. So that's really what it is. In terms of data, we will continue to struggle with the quality of the data for a very, very long time. Because as I said, Linda, this is a mess which took us 60 years to create. We cannot undo it in 5 years. We will continue to work with our customers, with our landowners, with our investors in order to clean up the data in their custody so that in another 10 years, we can proudly say we run the most efficient, most sustainable land platform in our country because we'll have gone through the process of cleaning this data. But for now, if as a customer you want to transact, you don't find your parcel, no cause for alarm. Chat up our customer care agents, we'll give you a call and walk through what to do. As I speak, actually, there are about 200 customers who've done that. They've come, logged on, they didn't see their title, they talk to our customer care agents, and we are helping them through the process. Some of them, it will be the data that is missing. Others, it will be, it's an apartment, so it doesn't have geospatial data. We need to work with you to create it. Others, it will be maybe a title. You know, some Kenyans are very ingenious. There are Kenyans who own titles to police stations.
That's true.
If you own Central Police Station, surely it can't be here.
Yes.
Because by police station is a public asset. So those kinds of issues will continue to play out until the system fully stabilizes. I know that professionals are concerned, because they're especially advocates, because they are saying that it's not as quick as the system that we had before. That's not necessarily true. What is lacking in this platform at the moment is quality data. And I said as government, we have stood our ground. We are not going to put on this platform data whose integrity we cannot vouch for.
Can you speak of timelines where we can see this, well integrated, and maybe speak of at least 70% integrated in the system as opposed to?
Linda, this system is fully integrated. If you want your survey data, you want your physical planning data, your land, every record regarding your parcel of land will be integrated on the platform. What will be missing is if your data lacks the three things that I said. If it lacks integrity, meaning maybe you acquired the title by fraud, it will not be here. If it is not complete, like I said, there are 28,000 parcels of land whose data is not complete. Those we are working with the landowners to complete the data set so that they can come on the platform. Others, they will not be accurate. Maybe it will say the land is owned by Farida, while in fact it is owned by Linda. How can that parcel of land be on the platform? Because we are saying as national government, we are the guarantor of title. Once we put your title here, we're saying we guarantee this title. Take it to the bank.
Right.
So we can't put it here unless we are sure, Linda. So it will take time.
We've been treated to so much confusion, and I agree it will take time. If we look at the Mao stories and the lands owners down there, they tell you that we were given titles and they're legit. On the other hand, it's government land and somebody else has the same titles. Then how then do we fix this? Because it will be quite a tussle to imagine that someone comes to you and they tell you this is legit. Somebody else comes with one that looks legit also.
You see, what we are doing with this platform, Linda, we are interrogating all these data sets. The primary data set for land data is the survey plan. That is really the land. I mean, like this place. The primary data would be the document that says TV47 is in parklands on this plot.
Right.
So that is the primary data. Once we have the primary data, we look at other data sets. We will look at land administration data. Land administration is the correspondences created when you allotted that land. Then we have the registration data, we have the valuation data, we have the physical planning data, all these data sets, and they have to tally. Each data set has to say the land belongs to Linda. If they all don't tally, we first put it aside and interrogate it. And as I said, we've created this mess from 1963 to the year of our Lord 2021.
Right.
That's 58 years. We cannot undo it in 5 years. It will be a continuous process until everybody comes on board with clean data sets. But what I want to assure Kenyan landowners, Kenyan property owners, the professionals in this sector, that as government we are committed to working with them in order to ensure these data sets are not only good, they are data sets which give you security of tenure. We want to be able to tell you, Linda, this is your land and nobody can take it away from you. In the case where you mentioned, where in the past, government has allocated forest land for settlement of Kenyans who are landless. In some cases, unfortunately, as government, we didn't follow due process. The due process of allocating forest land, Linda, have to go to Parliament.
Right.
Present a petition to Parliament for degazettement. Because you cannot allocate forest land which is not degazetted. And that is a challenge we are having in different places such as Mao and different forests in our country, where government issued title to land which is not degazetted. So on paper, it's forest land. So how can you own a title to forest land? So if we were to regularize that settlement, I will have to go to Cabinet, request Cabinet to allow me to degazette that forest, and then from Cabinet, I take the petition to Parliament and request Parliament to degazette that forest, because that is what the law says. And that's why I'm saying this platform has been built to follow due process. So if you come on this platform, you will not find such settlements until we have regularized. And we are now working, we are just about to present a paper to Cabinet to allow us to regularize some of the settlements that were created in the 80s, in the 70s, and have not been properly regularized. From there, I will take the petition to Parliament. So this is a process that will take time. But for landowners, work with the government, because in the end, we all have to build a platform where we are all comfortable as Kenyans, as government, as ordinary landowners and professionals, that we are doing the right thing.
Yes.
Because Linda, who's going to fix our country for us? We must fix it ourselves. We created the mess. We don't expect somebody else to come from another place and come and help us. We have to work together as landowners, as Kenyans, as professionals, as the government, to fix the problem which we collectively created. Because Linda, fraud is not possible if government does not participate. If an officer of government does not sign a title that is not properly acquired, it will not be there. So we have to work collectively as Kenyans in order to fix this problem. And as I said, and I keep saying, it's not going to be an easy journey. When I speak about it, it looks easy, but it's not. It's very complex. It's very tough. Even for us working in government, it's not easy to face a Kenyan and tell them, hey, the title we gave you, actually we shouldn't have given it to you. I mean, it's not easy.
Let alone the compensation conversations that are here, that well, officially government has taken this space and they're putting up a road, infrastructure, and then therefore people who own this land at some point in time have not been compensated for the longest time. How then does it address the same?
Linda, you know, when you're acquiring land by compulsory acquisition, first of all, that process is undertaken by the National Land Commission, because as you know, the public land, either whether it belongs to county government or national government, is managed by the National Land Commission on behalf of either layer of government. Usually, for us to compensate, you have to prove ownership. And in some cases, sometimes ownership is in dispute, and we don't know who to pay. So that money will be in a suspense account until it is decided who owns the land. In cases where they are straightforward and there's money, we always try to compensate, because when you acquire land by compulsory acquisition, the law obligates government to do timely and just compensation, so that you don't render Kenyans homeless because you want to put up a road. So it's normally a balance. Sometimes government will request the landowner to give early access. Early access means I want to develop the road, I'm not ready to pay, but you give me the land knowing that I will pay you later anyway, because I'll have given you an offer saying your land is worth XYZ and this is what government will pay. So it's a constant conversation between landowners and the government. But what I can tell you, Linda, we've been working very, very hard, especially working with the National Land Commission, in order to ensure that before projects take on or take off, we work with the landowners so that they are not also disadvantaged, because we are building a public infrastructure project. But Linda, there are also cases where the government bought land by compulsory acquisition.
Yes.
And it was never vested in government.
Okay.
As in, I pay X amount of money, the land was yours, but when I check my records, which is what we are experiencing now, it is still in the name of Linda. How did that happen?
Right.
You took money from government, that is government land.
And
so we've now started a process of what you are calling vesting. If you are paid in full, you have no business owning that land. It should go to the government, and we have started that process. In the other process of deciding which settlement is regular, which is irregular, we have another team that is now sifting through records to see what can government do. If we need to regularize, how will we do it? If it is an outright fraud, how do we restore? How do we restitute? So those kinds of conversations are now going on within government.
All right.
Yeah.
And because it's a people's-oriented program, I think it's only fair that we pick some of these questions that have been asked by the people. Irungu Goko asks, ask Madam CS to confirm if any interest party needs a court order to get a green card search.
No, they don't.
They do not.
No.
All right, I hope that one is answered. Question also on Galana Kulalu. I know this is interesting, but then we'll ask all the same. Big plan towards food security, it was. And to what extent have you familiarized yourself with the project, and to what extent has it met the objectives, acknowledging the fact that this was on the aspect of making sure that this land is being repatriated?
So what government is doing currently, Linda, the Galana Kulalu, those are actually two different lands, Galana and Kulalu.
Yeah.
In total is about 1.7 million acres. Only about 10,000 acres was deployed under the pilot phase of the program. The intention of government is to scale up this, working with the local community. It's a process that has just started actually. We've not gone very far because we are saying we have so much land, and this is ADC land, by the way, government land. So we work with the local community, with the political leadership there, in order to see what is the most sustainable way of deploying this land for food security. And there are conversations going on with this government how to approach it. I think it will be done in phases, because as you can appreciate, 1.7 million acres is a lot of land. You cannot quickly transform that into sustainable use. Some of it will be, we will create planned settlements. You know, the challenge in our country is creating settlements that are not planned. So it's difficult to provide amenities like water, like sewer, like power. So the way we want to do Galana Kulalu is to have planned settlements, where settlements are clustered in one area of the scheme, so that government can provide services such as roads, water, schools, and everything. And then we will have ranches where the pastoral communities can graze their cows. We'll have farmlands where communities can farm. So it's a mixed use kind of planning we are doing. And as I said, it's just at the planning stage. We've not gone very far, but we hope that once the program is complete, we can deploy this land into proper use. Because you can't have 1.7 million acres of land belonging to ADC, and then we are struggling with food. We are not food secure. We can deploy this to very good use if we plan well. And the planning process has just started.
All right. Okay, unresolved land claims are hugely a rural and a local aspect. And therefore, it is important that we look into the interest of these people who will be at the rural point. We understand that technology is here and not as friendly to many of us. We are in Nairobi at the inception stages. We seek to see this going down to the people. So how then will the rural point be helped to solve their problems in this case scenario and in comparison or in relation to technology? Okay, now for this platform, Linda, obviously it's for people who can read and write. Then there are customers who are not able to read and write. As I said, we have a customer care center for now. This platform by this is only live in Nairobi. It will be live subsequently as we roll out to the rest of the country. So in every county that we shall be live, there will be a customer care center. Which means if as a customer you're not able to read or write, don't worry, you can still come to the ministry and officers of government will help you through the process. We encourage our customers to be security conscious, because if you give your credentials to anyone, they can transact on your behalf and actually dispose your land. So if you're not sure what to do on the platform,
just come to the ministry or get somebody to give us your number, and we can call you up and help you through the process.
Yeah.
So in terms of customers who cannot read or write, we are going to work with them to support them. We are also very shortly going to create a mobile app for the phone. So to make it easier, the way you do M-Pesa, it's a mobile app on your phone. We are going to create a mobile app, but that obviously means you still need a smartphone. So if you don't have a smartphone, you can either go to a place where there's a computer, you transact, because it's a web-based platform, or you can come to the ministry. But we are saying, guard your credentials jealously. If you give out your ID, you give out your phone,
Yes.
because when this is a system that uses an OTP, one-time password. So when you log on, before you continue, we'll send you an OTP.
All right.
And you need the OTP to continue transacting on the platform. It means if somebody has your phone and they have your ID and they can access your OTP, they can transact as you.
Right.
So in the same way, Linda, that nobody knows your password for your credit card or your bank card, you should guard it in the same. Don't write your password on pieces of paper. Don't tell your password to anybody. Don't save it on the phone itself. You know, those kind of security concerns, because a digital platform is as safe as the users who are deployed on the platform.
Sure.
If you're careless, your platform will be insecure. So it's really being cautious and knowing that technology is a good thing, but technology can also be risky.
Right.
So you have to balance these two aspects. But for this system, I want to tell you, Linda, that government has built a very, very secure system, because we took time. We started building this platform in July of 2019, and we only deployed it 1 month ago. So we've been testing, doing penetration tests, making sure that you cannot penetrate, you cannot compromise the platform, and if you do so, what do? We have 3 redundancies. So if somebody managed to compromise one server, the other server will automatically take on, and even the customer will not see that there's anything going on. So in terms of security protocols built into this system, it's very, very secure.
Guaranteed.
But I will keep saying, our data is the problem.
That's true.
And it will take many years to clean it at 100%. And we have to be patient as Kenyans. See, this is a platform whose time has come. Data has an issue. But are we going to give up because our data is bad? The answer is no. Let's work together and clean the data to the point where we are all comfortable to transact on it.
Right.
Because the alternative is scary. If we allow further deterioration, what does that mean for our country? What does that mean in terms of security of tenure in our country? So we just have to draw the line, say it's going to be painful, it's going to be tedious, it's going to be laborious, but it's a journey that we must walk as a country.
Okay. You've heard of talks of us copy-pasting even the Constitution, as they would rightfully say, and a couple of other policies that we have, managed to incorporate in our very own. And we understand that our land problems could be unique in comparison to other countries or the global fraternity at large. And therefore, how homegrown a solution will these reforms be to us?
Now, Linda, remember I said that this system is copyrighted to the government of Kenya. It was built 100% by young Kenyans in their 20s, in their early 30s, Kenyan professionals who have a stake in it, who are patriotic, who wanted to build a platform for our country that will solve our unique problems. So the way we did it, Linda, we started by analyzing what are our challenges, what is the problem in our land sector, why do we want to put up this platform, why has it become necessary? Then we analyzed all these problems and said, in order to solve these issues, what kind of a platform do we need to create? And then we worked with the developers, with the cybersecurity experts, and told them, as a country, this is our problem. There is fraud, our records disappear. Some of our records are more than 100 years old, so they are not very legible. So we want to build a platform that recognizes these challenges and provides a solution. So we worked with these teams and we built the platform over time. We've tested. Some of the things we started with in July of 2019, we've since discarded, because when we tested in the real workspace, we realized they're not going to work. So and the beauty of a Kenyan system built by Kenyans is that we can tweak anything at zero cost to the government, because the people who are deployed to work on it are paid by government, they're government employees. So it's just their salary, which they would earn anyway, whether the disaster was there or not. So the beauty of this system is that it's a very agile system. We can change it anytime. During our stakeholder engagements, people told us to build a Braille version. We are working with the experts on Braille to see whether we can build a Braille version in order to accommodate users who cannot see. So these are some of the benefits of it. It's very agile. So if for instance, our lawyers told us, you've only created professional accounts for advocates, What about law firms? Are you going to recognize law firms? And we are now working with our developers to build that. So it's a system that allows us to take on board feedback. Recently, we had a meeting with surveyors. They suggested some improvements, and we are working on that. So it's a system that is very, very agile and recognizes our special needs as a country. And that is why we said we are not going to do any benchmarking anywhere.
Okay.
Let's analyze our own problems and create a solution that is tailor-made for our unique challenges, which is Artisasa, which is now live in Nairobi.
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. Now, how far does it go in helping us address the corrupt cases that are well embedded and rooted within the land sector?
Yeah.
I mean, the historical land injustices. We are speaking of processes being streamlined, good policies coming on board. Then I would want to believe even the investigative bodies would go back to the ministry to find some of this information. Does it come in handy?
Yes, it does. One of the things we are doing with this platform is providing access to our investigative agencies, the DCI, the EACC, even to our courts.
Yeah.
Because as you know, Linda, a lot of the cases in some counties, like if you go to Kisii, 70% of the cases in court will be about land. Because as you can imagine, there's population pressure, land issues, there are disputes. So there's a lot of cases on land, and we are telling our judicial officers, you have access. We are giving access to our county governments. We are giving access to anybody who needs to make the right decision about a particular parcel of land. It's just that we control access. There are access protocols. If you want to access, there's a protocol you have to follow. But if you really want to make a decision that is good for our country, you're welcome to do so, and we'll give you the access that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I said that economic development can be realized by the resources that are available. Yet we have so much land that is lying idle, and lots of people who are squatters with nothing to probably touch on and make the best of their lives. What can be done to put the same to use, this land that lies, out there?
You see, part of the reason for creating this platform, Linda, is to analyze land use. You see, in a manual space, you have 480,000 square kilometers of land. That's the extent of our country.
Yeah.
But you have no idea what it is being used for. Because everything is manual. But in a space such as the one we are building, one of the things we are documenting is the land use. If you say your land is agricultural, we document. If it's commercial, we document. So in the end, once the platform is fully deployed across our country, it will be very easy to see how many acres of land, for instance, are under agriculture, how many acres are under forest, how many acres are commercial, how many acres are schools, those kinds of things. So once you have that information, it is then easier to demand that landowners use their land for the reason for which they say they would use.
Okay.
Right now, it's difficult to enforce accountability because you actually don't know. If you ask me today, Linda, how many women own land in Kenya? The answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
But once this platform is live, it will be a report on the system. I want to know gender, female landowners. I just type in and print out a report. If I want to know how many people, young people between the ages of 18 to 35 own land, because we are taking your ID details, we know how old you are, and we can get that information. So this, Linda, this platform will allow us to make decisions that are good for our country. But like I said, let us build the foundation. Let us first establish to what use are we putting our land.
Okay.
Once we know, then we can now say, you told us when you applied for this title that you want to farm. How come you are not farming anything?
Okay.
You told us you want to put up a commercial development. What is going on? There's no commercial development on this plot. Because the other thing this system allows you to do, Linda, we can marry this platform, our mapping platform, with satellite imagery. So I'm able to tell Linda's parcel is blank, there's nothing. Ama kuna gorofa.
Okay.
Ama hapa kuna pita barabara, because it's a platform that allows you to get secondary data sets. It even allows you to have street views of Nairobi City, for instance, so you know what is in which street. So that kind of data will eventually or ultimately lead us to take the next course of action. Like I said, Linda, there are many things you could change in the Ministry of Lands, but we have started with the foundation. A subsequent government will come and build on what we are doing. Maybe a future government will now come and say, now that we know how many acres are put to agricultural use, is it really agricultural use, or is it lying fallow, or is it idle? So those are decisions that now will be subsequent decisions following the deployment of the platform. In some cases, Linda, land is not idle. Just, Kenyans, when they see grazing land, they think it is idle. Maybe somebody is keeping beef. What do you want them to do? To slash the grass?
Definitely not.
So they may be uses, that are not visible.
That's true.
Maybe it's a ranch, maybe it's a conservancy, because conservancy, there's really nothing you do, it's a conservancy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you're keeping beef. Maybe you have some cows there, but you're rotating them around your farm so that some areas can lie fallow for some time.
Okay.
But that is information which can become easily available, Linda, once we know fully to what use is every Kenyan putting their land. And to me, I hope they are planting 10% of it with trees.
That's true.
Because we have a serious problem with our forest
With
cover.
the forest cover, yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
And as we come to a close, the apartment owners would probably be a worried lot. How then does this come in handy to make sure that they are well secured?
They have actually, this platform is the best platform for apartment owners. Alongside the Section of Properties Act of 2020, which we are now working to draw regulations. Regulations is subsidiary legislation which allows you to implement the law. So this Section of Properties Act has two benefits for these apartment owners. First, it gives you revisionary interest. It means at the expiry of the lease, you have the first right to renew it in your favor. When we're using long-term leases, that is a right that we left with either the management company or the developer who put up the apartments, and the apartment owner did not have absolute right. In this legal framework, as an apartment owner, you have absolute right to your property because the law gives you or compels us as government to register your property as if we were registering land. It is actually the law, Section of Properties Act of 2020, gives effect to Section 54(5) of the Land Registration Act. It allows us to register your property as a title. So we'll give you an actual title deed to your property.
Right.
In the current framework, you have a long-term lease. Now we are saying this is the title to your property. Take it to the bank, take it wherever you want, you own it. And then it also allows us as government to apportion rent proportionately.
Okay.
Because in the old framework, if you wanted to sell your apartment, you would have to plead with your co-owners to pay, to changa rent, mulipe. But now we apportion you your rent. So if you want to transact in your apartment, pay your portion of rent and go on with your business. It also assigns you a proportionate share of the common areas. You know, previously, either the management company or the developer would own these common spaces, and sometimes they would really inconvenience property owners because you would be sitting one day and there's an apartment and a kiosk in front of your building. But now we are saying, we assign you proportionate share of the common areas, and you cannot deploy that common space to any use without consulting the other property owners. So in a sense, it controls developments around the apartments and gives you absolute right to own that apartment. So these are really benefits that were not previously available. And secondly, we are saying, even if we have not put your apartment on the platform, don't worry. If you want to transact, come to us. We'll give you a surveyor, we'll create the geospatial data, and then help you transact. So really, this is one of the most visible beneficiaries of this system is actually owners of sectional units.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Asante sana, Honorable Farida Karunei, the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning. It was good having you today. It was all about the reforms and celebrating the progress that we've made. But we hope to get a hold of you some other time so that one will review on the progress and importantly will a bit hammer you hard on the numerous issues that continue to be developed. Land Ministry, which cannot go unmentioned and therefore need to be addressed if at all we again have to fully realize the progress of these great policies that come on board as to streamlining the land sector. Asante sana. Thank you so much also for your feedback. Well, some of them will forward to Madam Waziri so that at least you can get response on the same. But most importantly, take advantage of this because then again, like she says, the customer care is on, up and running to give you feedback on all the questions that you would have. Not be able to sample all of them, but we see Asante sana for the same. We cross over to a different segment altogether. Remember, we are talking about the economy, and that also has a huge relation to matters land. How then do we get ourselves to a point of recovery? Wrongs that we've made over years, but just how do we rewrite them after the short break?